All Noise Radio.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
The noise you can't ignore.
Aren't you gonna break it up?
No, 2 more days of this, and you'll quit.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Live from the CSB studios in Stratford, Connecticut on All Noise Radio, simulcast on allnoise.com and podcast on the Zuki and Ruggs Show YouTube channel. We are bringing you a jam-packed, chock-full, supersized, and double-stuffed sports show for you tonight. We go under the lights with a Monday evening show to get you ready for the week of sports ahead. This is Ruggs, and I'll now bring in my broadcast partner, Zuki. Where are you?
Hey,
there
yo.
he is. Welcome, Zuki.
I'm right here, baby. I'm right here on a Monday night. It's beautiful out, isn't it? What a beautiful fall weather.
It really is.
It's unbelievable. But I tell you, a lot of football going on yesterday, and got to get into that, man. Some big stories.
Definitely. Let's get right into it and not waste any time. What were your big impressions of yesterday? Had a couple real good games.
Yeah, some really nice games. I got to say, I'm thoroughly impressed. Although they came up short, thoroughly impressed with the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
They showed a lot of heart, a lot of determination, didn't quit. Practice squad quarterback going against the same defense that shut down Tom Brady and the New England Patriots the week before. Kid came in there, had 3 touchdowns. They fell short, but all in all, a good performance by the Buffalo Bills. They hung in there. Andy Dalton played a great game. He played phenomenally. Hey, got to tip your hat to the Buffalo Bills. They did fall short, but they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, they really are. I like the way they're headed. I thought the only difference in the game was A.J. Green. If the Bengals don't have A.J. Green, Buffalo wins, I think.
Yeah. No Stevie Johnson for the Bills. They had a lot of injuries. C.J. Spiller's still banged up. That was a great game. Great finish, through and through. A tremendous ball game. I was actually at the Pittsburgh Steelers-Jets game.
Not as exciting, but
kind of a blasé game.
Well, that's what you're going to get with the Jets sometimes. You're going to not an offensive dynamo, although they look like the week before. Jets, like we said, they're fickle.
Yeah, they are. They are fickle. One week they look great. The next week they look like they look like crap. But, Pittsburgh Steelers got their first win of the year. Yeah. They're on the board. They got a win. A couple teams in their division lost. The Ravens and the Browns both lost. So, Pittsburgh, hey, go on a winning streak. You never know. You get back into this thing. It's not too late. So.
Yeah, Cleveland might be on what we talked about. We said once they got their 3-game winning streak and everybody got excited about them, they might start a 10-game losing streak. Yeah. Or it may have just started yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a killer pick by Weed in there. Yeah. Detroit's got a solid team. Maybe this is the year for Detroit. Megatron's got to get healthy, though.
He does. And they've won 2 road games. I mean, Detroit usually does not play well outdoors on the road, and they've got their second one now. Maybe this is the year they break through. I don't know. It's been a long time coming for them.
Yeah, I think they're finally maturing. They're a young team for the most part. They're maturing. A little disconcerting, like I said, a little worrisome with the Megatron injury. Calvin Johnson's got a bum knee. At first, I thought it was kind of a decoy. They were going into that Packers game, and I'm like, it's a decoy. They're trying to fool the Packers. They're trying to bait him in, and then Calvin Johnson's going to step on the field and go ballistic. Oh, he's really hurt, man. But Reggie Bush, so far, he missed 1 game. For the most part, it's been a tremendous signing by the Detroit Lions. He's really turned that team around.
Big difference. And the front 4 is playing well now for Detroit. I mean, they've been hyped up for years. The high draft picks they've used to get that defensive line up to par, and it's one of the better ones in the league when it's all healthy and playing at all cylinders. And they finally look like the team that people were talking about for the last couple of seasons on that defensive line and really getting after the quarterback.
But I tell you, the creme de la creme of the games was that New England Patriot, New Orleans Saints game. How in the world, if you're Sean Payton, do you let Tom Brady get on the field and beat you? When Brady threw that, forget about even the downs, when they turned the ball over on downs. I tell you what right now, Bill Belichick's a tremendous head coach, but without Tom Brady, just, you talk about picking somebody up.
Right.
I'm sure Belichick looked at Brady after he said, let's go for it on 4th and 6 deep in our own territory and said, hey, Tom, this one's on me, man.
Bail me out, please.
Yeah, please, Tommy. I mean, unreal. They were able to win that game. I thought the game was over on the downs. I said, okay, this game's over. Then they hold them to a field goal, and I'm thinking, wow, the Saints didn't go for the kill.
And I never think that with Tom Brady. I'm always thinking he's going to pull it out because all the years I've rooted against the Patriots, he always sticks it to me.
Right.
I was kind of giving, because he hasn't looked as good this year, so I was like, he's not the same as he's been in the past few seasons where he would definitely pull it out. I think it's not going to happen today for him. And
he does.
And he does it.
Unbelievable. Even the pick. They get the ball back, and I think, okay, he's still got a shot, and he throws that pick, which is a terrible pass.
Yeah, he just threw it in the
And then to turn around and be able to get the ball back again, you can't do that if you're the Saints. Go for the kill. Go for the victory. I mean, really a bad job by the Saints. Unbelievable. Really, just a poor job.
Tough, because I watched watched the game at my neighbor's, who's a big Saints fan, born in Louisiana, came up, moved up here, and watched that game. And man, he was like,
did he throw gumbo all over the TV or something?
Man, he was on the verge of tears. He had to call friends back home and be consoled. I felt terrible. But,
Hey, Tom Brady, he's done that to us all, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Tom Brady, you've just been Brady'd.
I know. I told him, I said, welcome to New England now.
Yeah, welcome to the club, buddy.
You get this first, and then now you're going to get a cold winter with 12 feet of snow.
Yeah, tell him to call me. I'm a Bills fan. How many times I've been Brady'd since 2001. I should get a T-shirt, Brady'd since 01.
Yeah.
Bills fan club. Jeez Louise. But they had a great game by the New England Patriots, so I got to give it to him. Tom Brady, that's what winners do, man. Winners win. And I tell you, that defense is tremendous. I got to say, that defense is really good again. Even when they lost Talib, even after the Talib injury, they were still able to, limit the Saints. They were able to hold them down somewhat. Jimmy Graham, I know, got hurt, but still, I mean, Sproles didn't do much. Colston didn't do much. Graham did nothing.
Nothing at all.
So kudos, not just to Brady and Tompkins. There was a great catch by Tompkins in the end zone as well. That shouldn't get lost in discussion. The defense it's back. The New England defense is back. It is a stout defense once again. So New England Patriots going to be a dangerous football team to play. And I tell you what, the Denver Broncos, they got to 6-0 by hook or by crook, or they didn't look like
impressive.
That was not impressive. Maybe they felt bad for the Jaguars. I tell you what, if you're the Broncos, you better keep going because do you really want to?
Gets tougher.
Do you want to play in New England in the playoffs? Yeah,
and that's the thing. The same thing with what I thought. We talked about the New Orleans game. What was big yesterday is now Seattle kind of got back in in contention for that top spot in the NFC, because if you're Seattle, you don't want to go to New Orleans and play in the Dome,
right? And
conversely, you don't want to go out there and play out in Seattle.
No.
If you're New Orleans, so that was a big game to get Seattle back level with New Orleans.
Agreed. Well said. Good point. Yes, I mean, we remember the Matt Hasselbeck game went out a few years ago when the Saints, when they were defending champs, had to go out there and got beat. So there's no doubt in my mind. I think if either one of those teams get the number 1 seed, they're gonna go. They're gonna go to the big dance. They're gonna be playing in New York. I'm sorry, New Jersey. I'm sorry.
Then on a sadder note, we have the whole thing with Adrian Peterson. I was going to talk about how uninspired the Vikings look, but there's some backstory to that. Just a really, as a father of a young kid, and my son's 3, and I have another one that's 7. I can't imagine that. And just the fact that he was able to show up for work yesterday and go play. I mean, it's amazing. I don't think I could do it. All the details, everything that happened hasn't been released. It's hard to really speculate on anything further as far as what it affected for football. He wasn't the same player out there yesterday.
No, he was definitely playing with a heavy heart. And let's stop. I've heard some stories. The relationship wasn't there with the child, or yada yada. Let's stop it. A father, a 2-year-old was seemingly murdered, and I don't care if you see the kid every day or not. It's still your son, and to lose a child that way, or it's terrible, because your first instinct as a father. I mean, I don't have any kids yet, or whatever. I don't have any children as of right now, but I know my first feeling, if I ever did hold that baby in my hands, would be not just love, but also it's my job to protect that child.
Right.
It's my job. I mean, you could attest to that.
Mm-hmm.
And Adrian Peterson, this God-given athlete, this freak, when you look at him, he couldn't protect his child.
Yeah.
He wasn't there to protect his child, and I'm sure that's killing him inside. It's a horrible story. If this is all true, and this gentleman, I don't even know his name. I didn't even get his name. This guy, I forgot his name. It escapes me now. But if he did this, there's a special place in hell for him.
Sure is.
But yeah, condolences and heavy hearts to the Petersons family, especially Adrian Peterson. That's terrible. None you could really say about that. Yeah, terrible.
And then other impressions for the week. I mean, started Thursday night. The Giants, they looked better, but they're 0-6. It's tough to take any real moral victories from the game.
No, there's no moral victories. Eli Manning stinks.
He's got to hold on to the ball.
He stinks. I'm sorry. I love Eli. The guy stinks. He's throwing the ball all over the place. That first pick
was terrible.
His fault. Okay. Oh, and can we stop one thing? Can I just say one thing about the whole Eli Manning thing? Enough. The guy is playing terrible football right now. He is playing a terrible quarterback, and yet all you read in the papers and hear on the radio is an analyzing of Eli's picks. Stop it. If this was Mark Sanchez, he'd be crucified.
I know. And I'm a defender of him because he's a big winner. He always, in the biggest games, he wins them, and I'm always going to back that kind of guy. But, I mean, I can't defend him this year.
No, you can't.
It's awful.
That last pick, I hear guys saying, Myers should... Nonsense. Brandon Myers is 6'6".
Yeah,
he
airmailed him.
He airmailed it, like you said. That's over his head. That's high. No, put that in between the 8 and the 3. Okay? Or even at his face mask. Something where he can get it. Don't make this guy jump up in the air. Come on. Eli Manning, I'm sorry, he killed him. He killed him that game. Brandon Jacobs came out inspired. These guys came out inspired. And I'm sorry, Eli Manning threw the game away. I'm sorry to say. So, it's a poor job by Eli. He's got to put this on his shoulders. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what anybody says. This is on Eli Manning, and he's got to stop turning the damn ball over.
Yeah.
He's got to stop it. Stop it. Enough with these turnovers. Just go. And I will say another thing. The play calling has been sketchy, to say the very least. It's been very suspect. I'm very critical of Kevin Gilbride as an offensive coordinator. He makes no adjustments. I mean, for example, Brandon Jacobs ran his heart out. The best game I've seen Jacobs.
He really did play well. I'm glad you brought that up.
The best game Jacobs played in about 4 or 5 years. And, hey, Ruggs, have you ever heard of something called a play action? Maybe you should text Kevin Gilbride.
They don't use it. You're the only team in the league.
Maybe you should text Kevin Gilbride and say, hey, Kev, it's okay for Eli to pretend that he's going to give Jacobs the ball and then pull it back and throw it?
That was a staple of theirs. I mean, they used to hit Nick's deep or Cruz deep. I mean, that was always an early in the game play. They don't do it anymore.
Or how about this, Ruggs? How about this? You want to complain about the offensive line? Fair. That's fair. The offensive line's struggling for the Giants. Okay, then why are guys running deep routes? How about you try a little short routes? How about you go into a shotgun? Make an adjustment, Gilbride. He's terrible. Gilbride has just done an awful job as a play caller. He cannot survive this. It's time for Gilbride to go.
There's going to be big changes. I think Gilbride's problem is he's relied on Eli for so long to get it done. He doesn't think he needs to maybe make the adjustments. And Eli is not keeping up his end of the bargain this year. And, it's really showing in the result. Defense played much better for the Giants. They bailed them out a couple of times. They, like you said, that first interception, they stopped Chicago. Chicago probably, didn't have a lot of respect for him early, figured out, let's go for it here, and they didn't get it. And at that point, I'm like, the Giants might win this game now. And then they just promptly go and turn it over again and give the advantage right back and let them score the touchdown. They still are down 7. Yeah.
Well, the Giants better this Monday night. They got a game at home against the terrible Minnesota Vikings. The aforementioned Adrian Peterson. It's prime time. I'm sure Adrian Peterson's going to want to come out there and put on a show, and he may very well do so. But the Giants, this is the game they got to win. They have to win this week. Just get a win. Play like champions for 1 week. I mean, come on. If you're Tom Collins, guys, you got to sit these guys down and say, hey, listen, 2 years ago we were the Super Bowl champions. Can we play like it, please?
Yeah.
Come on. Wake up. Enough's enough already. I don't want to hear any more excuses. Enough. And just, you know what? Forget about 0-6. Just forget it. Wipe your hands with 0-6. Say, okay, there's nothing we can do about this. Those 6 games are over. All we can do now is move forward. Just move forward and one game at a time. And start with the crappy Minnesota Vikings and beat them. Just beat the crappy Vikings on Monday night.
Get off the schneid, get one on the board. Yep,
that's it.
I just got a real quick here. I gotta go off on my little rant. I'm a week late on it because we didn't have a taping last week. Can Mike Smith please introduce himself to Matt Bryant and learn what a field goal is? Oh. Kick a field goal once in a while. He does it every time, and he's killing the team. He goes for it more than anybody else. And most times I'm sitting there saying, yeah, go for it. I'm like a fan. Well, if you coach like a fan, you're going to be joining them pretty shortly, because that's what happens to coaches that listen to the fan. He goes for it way too much. They never make it. He gives up points every single week in these big games, and they lose. The New England game, it killed them. Even though I agree Matt Ryan had a wide open Roddy White, missed them. Those points ended up coming home to roost. They lost that game. The Jets game, they go for it right before the half. Instead of taking the chip shot, they're 10 points down. Take the 3, get it within 7. What do they lose by 2? It's just killing him. Last year, he went, or it was a season before, he goes for it in his own territory in overtime against the Saints and can't get it. They play the playoff game in New York against the Giants. He must go for it 6 times in that game, not make it once. Giving up points left and right. They end up with 2 points for the game. I can't figure it out. I've defended the guy for years. I like him as a coach. He's been the best coach in our history, because our history is really sad, let's be honest. But he is killing us, especially this season. Now that things aren't working out, we're not having the magical wins at the end of games, and home field advantage hasn't been as strong. The first time they've ever lost back-to-back home games under his regime. But he's got to take the points when he's got them. Got to take the points.
I agree. That's actually one thing that's one point I actually made. I was listening to the radio today on WFAN, and I heard a couple jocks there talking about the Jets going for it. I was at the game yesterday, the Pittsburgh Steelers-Jets game. I think they made the right decision. It's early in the game. You have a nice drive. Take the points. There's nothing wrong with it in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Take the points. Why go for it? You're down 3-0. Just take the points. You've got a good defense. The Steeler offense isn't that great. You got to think about it that way. I agree. Hey, my Buffalo Bills are the same thing today. They were down 10-7 early in the game, 4th and goal at the 1, and they go for it and get stopped. Why not kick the field goal there? And what happened? They ended up going to overtime. Now, I will say, karma did present itself, because Mike Nugent shanked a 34-yarder that would have made it 27-10 in the fourth quarter. So I guess karma did offset. But
it makes it.
But
you make a good point.
But if Carpenter kicks the field goal, he makes it 10-10, and Nugent shanks the field goal, the Bills win the game.
Right.
So I'm with you, Ruggs. And also, Mike Smith's play calling has been skeptical. that playoff game against the Giants, he QB sneaks it with Matt Ryan. I agree with you on Mike Smith. I like him, but I think it's time to make a change. I think he could be a good offensive coordinator. Was he offensive?
Defense. He's
more
a defensive coordinator, which,
guy.
yeah, and it's hard, like you
That's
said,
right.
it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell with that defense.
So,
it's awful.
It may have. That's the way football is, man. Maybe time for a change in Atlanta.
Yeah, new voice, but
The injuries aren't helping either. Julio, jeez,
yeah.
that was a devastating injury.
Yeah. And with the subject of the field goal, you notice with Belichick, I mean, I was watching that Saints game with him. He's like, yeah, you can't win kicking field goals, Belichick. And he's like, that's why the Saints are better. And he was, talking it up early in the game. And those field goals, they don't have that chance to win that game if they don't take the points early.
Yeah.
Belichick knows what he's doing.
Take the points. I agree.
All right, we got to get to a break here, but we'll be back. We'll talk more sports with you on the Zuki and Ruggs Show on All Noise Radio. Attention, fans of the Zuki and Ruggs Show. Join us, Zuki and Ruggs, from Quinnipiac University, men's and women's basketball. Second Tuesday, November, the TV Sports Center, which is on campus at Quinnipiac University. Hope to see you there, everybody.
This is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and you're listening to the All Noise Radio Network. Now back to my main man, the Zuki and Ruggs Show. Hey, everybody, we're back here on the Zuki and Ruggs Show, live from CSB. All right, Ruggs. Well, we got some big games coming up this week. Week 7 of the NFL season. The NFL season's almost halfway over.
That's unbelievable.
Unreal.
Major games this week, though. There's going to be a lot determined by the outcome of these games.
Yeah, some pivotal games starting. This game's not so sexy, but it's a big game.
Yeah.
Out in Arizona Thursday night, NFL Network. We have the 5-1 Seattle Seahawks, who are coming off a very dominating performance. 2013, but a pretty good performance.
Defensively, they were dominating.
They
only
were
gave up
defense.
That special teams touchdown. Other than that,
Right.
They shut down Tennessee.
Right. So in Seattle, they were my pick to go to the Super Bowl. A lot of guys picked, so they're playing like that as of right now. They go out to Arizona to face, a tough defense. They didn't play so great against San Francisco yesterday. Vernon Davis, beat them up pretty good, and Frank Gore gashed them up a little bit. But they're still playing pretty well. Larry Fitzgerald, it looking a little healthier. He looked good on that long touchdown run, so I could see them giving Seattle a fight. It's a big game for Arizona. They win the game. They're home. They're back to within one game of the division. Seattle's a 6-point favorite on the road. Could be a little high, but it could be right on. What are your thoughts? I'm thinking I actually do like Seattle to win the game. I don't think they'll dominate per se, but I think they'll get some pressure on the quarterback. Carson Palmer is a turnover-happy quarterback. He's, unfortunately for him, he turns the ball over a lot. The running game, Andre Ellington looks pretty good. They got a little something with Andre Ellington. As I said earlier, Fitzgerald looks healthy. So I think it'll be a tight game, but I still like Seattle. I think Lynch is going to give them a hard time again. They're going to have to face another all-pro running back in Lynch. And how will they defend Russell Wilson? That's going to be the big thing. Arizona did beat Seattle last year at home. Last year when Arizona got off to that hot start, when they were 4, I believe they got the 4-0.
The first 4.
Yeah, and one of those wins was Seattle.
Yep.
At home. So, they defended Russell Wilson very well that game. I think it'll be a close game. I just like Seattle.
Well said. I echo pretty much exactly what you said. I was very tempted to take the upset when I first saw the game on the slate because I think Seattle's been a little iffy away from home, but the defense I think will make the difference in the end. And Carson Palmer, he's a perfect guy to really turn it over, like you said, to that Seattle defense who's very ball hungry. And Lynch running the ball, they can control the clock and control the tempo of the game. game and keep, Arizona from trying to light it up on the field, with Carson Palmer to Fitzgerald. They can keep those guys on the sidelines. I like Seattle, but the 6 points might be a little bit of a stretch. I don't know. I think I might take Arizona on the spread if that was the case, but Seattle in the game.
There you go. Then we got some Sunday. You got some 1 o'clock games. Won't spend much time on some of these games. They're not too sexy, but the Miami Dolphins return from a bye week to face my Buffalo Bills. Again, Buffalo coming off a tough loss. They hung in there, but it's a loss. They're 2-4. Miami looking to get back in there, get a victory to keep, try to keep pace with the New England Patriots in the AFC East. Looks like the Buffalo Bills today just signed Matt Flynn earlier today. So, because it looks like Thad Lewis got banged up in the game yesterday. So, Matt Flynn looks like he's the revolving door starting quarterbacks with Buffalo Bills here now. So, Matt Flynn looks like he's going to be under center for the Bills that game. I'm going to have to go with Miami. They've had them coming off a bye. They were able to freshen up, take a week off, lick their wounds a little bit. They've had 2 weeks to get ready for the game. They're home. I just think Buffalo, too many injuries right now. If Spiller's still going to be banged up for the game, Stevie Johnson, we'll see. He obviously didn't play yesterday. The Bills are just, and then Matt Flynn's got to learn a new offense. I think just too much for the Buffalo Bills. I'll take the Miami Dolphins to get the 4-2.
I'm going to take the Dolphins also. I can't back Matt Flynn as a starting quarterback. He hasn't proved it yet. He's had some real issues in his other assignments starting for other teams since he kind of, was a little bit of a sensation right away with Green Bay. It's kind of gone downhill from there. I really would love to pick Buffalo, though, because they're my kind of team. They're really gritty and tough, and I like the way they play, and I think they really have a shot to knock Miami off, but they got to have somebody under center that has a better command of the offense than Matt Flynn's going to have. So I'm going to take the Dolphins here as well.
All right. Then we got your Atlanta Falcons hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Atlanta's coming off a bye week. Tampa played well. They showed some heart. Mike Glennon played well. Vincent Jackson just proves that it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, just get him the damn ball and he'll make something happen. Atlanta just coming off some devastating injuries. Obviously, we know Julio Jones out for the season with a broken foot. Roddy White looking like an iffy play this week, as is Steven Jackson, and so are other guys. I don't know the conditions of Jason Snelling, and as of right now, it looks like it would be Tziokas Rogers. But, I mean, you're looking at Matt Ryan with Tziokas Rogers and Tony Gonzalez and Harry Douglas. I mean, Darrelle Revis is salivating as we speak. I mean, it's a tough matchup. And Atlanta right now, I mean, I'm sure this line's going to move. It's Monday night. We're talking here on a Monday night. I'm sure by Friday this line's going to move. But right now, geez, Atlanta 9.5-point favorite. I'm going to go with Atlanta to win the game just because Tampa Bay is just such a mess right now. But I don't see the 9.5. I think Atlanta's going to squeak this one out, but it's not going to be pretty.
I'm taking Tampa Bay. I think they're going to beat them. Atlanta's in disarray. The defense is maybe the worst in the league.
No faith in your team, Ruggs?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think Glennon saw enough in that Philadelphia game. I think he's got a live enough arm. I mean, Geno Smith carved him up. I think Glennon's probably better. He certainly has some better weapons. Vincent Jackson, Mike Williams are going to have big games. They won't be able to stop Doug Martin. He'll run for over 100 yards. I would put money on that. If I had a lot of money to throw on the game, I'd throw it on Tampa Bay. Would get 9.5 if that line stayed. But yeah, no, I think Tampa Bay wins.
All right, here's a game. The St. Louis Rams. Speaking of teams that try to put the 3-game losing streak behind them. St. Louis yesterday going into Houston were chanting 2-0, 2-0 because they were trying to say, let's forget about this 3-game losing streak. We're 1-0. We're trying to get to 2-0. Trying to put that use that as a mindset, and it worked as they crushed Houston yesterday. Now they head into Carolina, who as well had a very impressive victory on the road in Minnesota. This is a tough game. These two teams are, very erratic. They're 500 teams. I'm going to take Carolina just because they're home. They're a 5.5-point favorite. I just think St. Louis's defense still not that good. Foster ran for $140 on them. I can see D'Angelo Williams doing that. I mean, having a strong game. And Cam Newton looks hot right now. He had a tremendous game. And St. Louis's pass defense, although it looked good yesterday, I don't know. We'll see. Can it do it again? I don't think so. And Carolina's defense is a little better than St. Louis's. I think, St. Louis has no running game, and I think they can cover their guys. I'll take Carolina in this one.
I'm going to take Carolina also. I agree with the assessment of St. Louis's defense, maybe a little inflated because they played a lot against TJ Yates, who was just terrible. I mean, it was awful performance. And the Texans, just as a team was really inept, but we'll get into that later. But for this game, I like, the way Cam Newton bounced back last week, had a big one. And that, front seven of Carolina played tremendously well against Peterson and the Vikings. I mean, they had no answers for them. And being at home also helps. Both teams are, like you said, very Jekyll and Hyde. It's hard to tell. It wouldn't surprise me if St. Louis came out and beat them because I certainly didn't see yesterday's result coming before that. That one started. I thought the Texans would beat them, but I'm going to take Carolina in this one at home.
Nice. Another 1 o'clock game. We have the upstart Detroit Lions, who sitting at 4-2, right in the mix for the division there, going against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are also 4-2. Actually, should be. It's going to be one of the best, one of the better 1 o'clock games there in Detroit. Detroit's a 1-point favorite today. Toss-up game almost, and I agree with that. I like Detroit. I think Cincy on the road, they've not been that strong. They almost lost to a depleted. Let's be honest, a depleted Buffalo Bills team.
Guts alone. Yep.
Yeah, they almost lost to them. They've had a couple losses. They lost to Cleveland on the road. They've had a couple. They haven't been the same team on the road. They lost to Chicago on the road as week 1. I like Detroit. Detroit, they play well at home. We mentioned earlier about Calvin Johnson. He needs to get it going. I mean, that injury is a little worrisome, but I'll take Detroit in this one.
I'm also going to take the Lions at home. I haven't been impressed with Cincinnati away from home. It's a little different. They're playing in a dome. There's no, there's no weather issues that I think would actually benefit Cincinnati. If, Detroit, the way, they win is with defense and getting the ball to Reggie Bush, and they're playing. He loves playing indoors on the turf. Makes him even faster, more elusive, and that defense with the noise factor for the home crowd, I think it's going to be tough on Dalton. They get a really big game out of their running backs. It can't just be the AJ Green show. They're not going to be able to win that way. I'm going to take Detroit. I think the game will be close though, because Cincinnati, they're a tough-minded team. Even in the opening week when they, played Chicago, they had a real chance to win that game. Couple of the losses that they've had have been real tough and hard fought, but I think Detroit will pull it out.
Well said. All right, we have San Diego going into Jacksonville. Not a must win for San Diego if they want to get back into this thing and into the wild card hunt. Jacksonville, we all know their story. They're pretty inept, sitting at 0-6. They did show a little guts yesterday against Denver. They didn't get destroyed, but again, they're the worst team in football. San Diego's favored by 9.5. I can't see them. I could see them covering that spread. I like San Diego to get this victory here. I'm sure you feel the same way. But moving ahead out of that game, let's get right to in the Meadowlands. The New England Patriots facing their division rival, the New York Jets. New England's a 4.5-point favorite right now. That could move up. If the Jets play like they did yesterday against the Steelers, this will be a long day for Geno Smith and the New York Jets. I like the New England Patriots to win this football game. Especially seeing Stephen Ridley bounce back was big for the Patriots. I think that was as if they needed more good luck. That was big for the Patriots. Stephen Ridley looks like he needed that week off. He's got his legs back. He's got his confidence back. And New England needs to run the ball. So I think it's a good sign for the New England Patriots. Now they'll be able to run the ball on the Jets or have a threat of a running game against the Jets. So I like the Patriots to win that game. And Tom Brady's we saw it yesterday. He's a winner.
Yeah, and until the Jets win one of these games at home against New England, which they always hype these games up, they're real big, they're must-wins, division battles, they always lose them. Until they win one of them, I'm picking New England.
Yeah, well said. Then we have a big game, huge game at 1 o'clock, another one. Dallas at Philly, both teams sitting at 3-3. So this is a first-place game here. I will say this, last night, not too impressed by the Dallas Cowboys, and they had two major injuries, losing DeMarco Murray he's definitely out for this game. It's not a serious injury, but he's definitely out for this game. So they're going to turn to the young man, Joseph Randle. And they also lost the bigger story, in my opinion, is DeMarcus Ware, losing him for up to a month. So he's out of this game as well. In Philly, this is going to be tough for them. I like Philly. I think Philly can win this game. I think they're going to win the game, especially with, no pass rush. Secondary's been suspect, to say the very least. And Philly looks hot right now. They look like they're, the last two games they're playing really well. They got LaShawn McCoy in the backfield. I like Philadelphia to win this game.
Yeah, Foles has done an excellent job. I thought that might really be the straw that broke their back this season, when Vic was out. But they almost look more fluent on offense with Foles. I think maybe he's really, taken to this new offense, this Chip Kelly offense. And being at home, it's tough to pick Romo in a big spot away from home, especially. DeMarcus Ware, the loss of him is going to be huge. Otherwise, I'd be tempted maybe to take Dallas here. Maybe they're finally ready to break through and get a foothold in this division, but I just can't do it. I'm taking Philadelphia.
Nice. In Washington, you have another 1 o'clock, the last 1 o'clock game that I'm going to be talking about here. Chicago at Washington. The Redskins just again continue to just sputter on offense. RG3 just not looking good right now. Alfred Morris, is playing tremendously well, but just not, something's missing there. The defense played a little better yesterday. Not as terrible. I mean, we know statistically they're the worst defense in NFL history.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty embarrassing for the Redskins. They played, like I said, they played a little bit better yesterday. Chicago Bears coming off a big win against the New York Giants at home, sitting at 4-2. And I'm going to go with the Bears here. I just think they can give the Redskins some trouble here. I mean, just until I see some consistency from the Redskin offense, it's hard for me to pick them. Something looks like it's not right, whether it's RG3's leg. He looked a little bit more mobile last night. He looked a little better. He had some runs. He looked good, but I don't know. It's hard for me to. Something's missing with Washington. I'm taking Chicago here.
Yeah, I actually think the Bears might really put a good performance on. They're going to have a couple extra days of rest playing Thursday night. Washington played the Sunday night game, so it's a little bit slightly a shorter week for them, and they were on the road. There's a lot of things point to Chicago in this game. Plus, I just think they're the superior team on the field, and Cutler's playing well, and Brandon Marshall's playing well, Matt Forte's playing well, Lance Briggs and that defense are playing well. Going to be tough. Hopefully for them, for their sake, Tillman will be back. Going to be questionable. It might be right down to the game time decision, but because he really helps that secondary out. They're ball hawks. Major Wright's playing well this year. Julius Peppers, who had a little bit of a slow start, starting to pick it up. I really like the Bears. I think they might win big.
It seems like every week they're getting a pick six. Every week.
Yeah, they're ball hawks like nobody else in the league, perhaps.
Yeah, and I'm one of those guys who thought maybe it was a little bit of a fluke last year, but I don't think so.
No,
it's not a fluke. It's a trend.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable. All right, Ruggs. Well, we got to take a break, and after this break, we're gonna pick up the rest of the games for Week 7 on All Noise Radio.
Hello, my friends. My name is Khair Ahmed, and I'm here to tell you all about the newest deodorant from Old Spice called Bangladesh Fresh. It was originally formulated to keep the Bengal tigers from eating the natives, but the people of Old Spice have now used this formula for men to keep unwanted women away.
Man, when I go to a club or a party and there ain't nothing but busted chicks all over me, I put on some Bangladesh Fresh and phew, all them fuglies bounce. The secret to the formula is a combination of curry, paprika, and skunk spray. It works for married couples too.
You stink.
My wife nags and nags, so when I come home from a hard day of work and I'm not in the mood, I apply some Bangladesh Fresh and I'm in the clear. Thanks, Old Spice.
Bangladesh Fresh. Stay ripe, manly man.
Hey kids, you're listening to All Noise Radio, powered by Connecticut School of Broadcasting, Stratford, Connecticut. AllNoiseRadio.com.
All right, we're back here on the Zuki and Ruggs Show. Okay, then we're gonna go on to the 4 o'clock games here. We got a big, not so much of a big game here. You got San Fran heading out to Tennessee. San Fran's looking good. San Fran seems like they're clicking here now. They've won 3 in a row. Coming off a very good performance against a tough Arizona Cardinals defense. I mean, Vernon Davis just looked like a god amongst men. They may be able to continue that. Frank Gore's playing great. Frank Gore is just on a tear right now. I mean, he looks like he's found the fountain of youth right now. Kaepernick is, he's pulling kind of an Alex Smith. He's not lighting it up. He's not, he's not putting up the big numbers. He's not dominating the league like many predicted. Okay, he's actually come back down to earth. Imagine that, huh?
Yeah.
And but the last 3 games, he's been a game manager. He's managing the game. He's doing, he's not turning the ball over too much. That's what you want from the kid. Just manage the game, win the damn game, and that's what he's been doing. I expect that again. I think San Fran will win the game again. I just can't see Ryan Fitzpatrick against that defense. Poor Houston. Poor Tennessee. They go from Seattle, now they're gonna play San Fran.
Yeah.
So that's like getting beat with a bat. That's like getting tortured in Guantanamo Bay, and they said, okay, we're gonna send you home. Where am I going? Back to Guantanamo Bay.
Schedule makers didn't do him any favors.
It's go, thanks. I thought I was leaving. Nah, April Fools. Yeah, I like San Fran in this one.
I am so tempted to pick Tennessee because it's just the kind of game that they would, show up and win. Actually, even though I think Fitzpatrick is a good quarterback and he really had some good years with the Bills, I think they'd be better off in this one if they had Locker. They need to play that style of game. Fitzpatrick's going to want to throw it a little more. He's going to want to take some more chances, and I think that's what might bite him, and they might make the mistake at the wrong time. I'll take San Francisco, but I like it to be a real close one.
Okay. Then we have, this game a few weeks ago looked like it was going to be a great game. Perhaps it will be. I don't think so. The 6-0 Kansas City Chiefs host the 2-4 Houston Texans. Kansas City's a 6.5-point favorite at home. I gotta say, I mean, it looks like Schaub's injury may be pretty serious. Whether, I haven't really heard anything yet, but I think Gary Kubiak came out and said he's got a little bit of everything going on in that leg.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. And I will say one quick thing. Terrible job by the Texan fans. Disgusting to cheer your own player getting injured.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty low.
And you're not backing them up with an all-pro there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're cheering for.
Yeah, how's TJ Yates looking, guys? Yeah, Houston. I mean, that's kind of disgusting. I thought people were nicer in Texas, and maybe they're not. Maybe we're just all bad. You hear people from down south like, well, y'all New Yorkers are mean. Well, we don't boo our guys when they get freaking knocked out or tear their leg up. We might boo them when they throw 3 pick sixes. We don't boo them when they blow their leg up. You friggin' jerks. I'm only kidding. But yeah, I like Kansas City in this one. Houston's defense is actually, now the last couple of weeks, is not looking too good. Did not look good yesterday. Just made Bradford look like Brady. I saw the BR in the back of the jersey. Like, who's that? BRA. Who's that, Brady? No, it's Bradford. Gee, okay. Just a terrible performance. Houston looks like they're another team, another playoff team from a year ago, just in total disarray. So not looking too good for the Houston Texans. And that KC defense, 10 sacks yesterday against the Oakland Raiders, really impressive. And now if they're going to have to go to Yates. I think Schaub's going to definitely be out.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's just not a good sign for the Houston Texans. I'll take Kansas City, and I think Kansas City could actually win this one big. I'm going to go with Kansas City here to go to 7-0.
I do too. I think they'll win big. Houston's got to join the discussion for the most disappointing teams in the league this year. It's just the wheels are coming off the wagon, and Kubiak he survived a few times, some scares, with his job on getting to like that 7-9, 8-8 mark, and then kind of the last couple years have kind of put his job a little bit more in the safe mode. But he might be right back on the hot seat if this continues. Just looking for answers there. They were thinking Super Bowl this year. They're looking like a 6-10 type of team. I think they lose big.
I agree. 425. Also, we have the Cleveland Browns heading out to Lambeau Field to face the Green Bay Packers. Packers coming off a nice win in Baltimore, hard fought victory. Mason Crosby just having a resurging year, making a lot of big kicks. And unfortunately for the Packers, they lost 2 big receivers yesterday. 2 huge injuries. One to James Jones, another one to Randall Cobb. This game, I'll be honest with you, this is another game. Right now I'm looking at the spread, Ruggs. It's 11. I think it's a little high, considering that Joe Hayden's going to be on one of these guys. Now it looks like it's going to be Jordy Nelson.
Yep.
Joe Hayden, in my opinion, is one of the best cornerbacks, if not the best cornerback in the league.
Very good.
Very talented. He's very good. I know Ronnie Harrison insists it's Roger Sherman, but I'm not so sure. I'll be honest with you, it's not looking. I'll go with the Packers for this reason, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. Their running game is incredible. They are running the ball great.
Unbelievably so.
They are really running the ball well, and I think right now Aaron Rodgers needs that, and the Packers need to keep that running game going, and I think they're going to rely on that heavy. And, they're going against Brandon Whedon. He is what he is. Josh Gordon's tremendous. He's having a tremendous year for the Cleveland Browns. I think it's going to be a close game. I really do. It's home. They're home. I'll take the Packers at home. But I think if I'm a betting man and this spread stays here, I'm definitely taking the Browns to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers too. I'll say this about Joe Hayden. I think he's the best cover corner in the league. A lot of people like Sherman. I think Sherman's the most physical corner league. Rodney Harrison kind of like, that's his kind of player. I think, if he's going to come up and hit you, he's going to hit a running back. He's going to come up and play the position that way. Hayden, though, if you want a blanket coverage guy, he's your man there. He's going to lock down and take somebody out of the game. Like you said, it could be Nelson. I still think the Packers, though, with their, like you said, their offensive line playing so well, it was maligned coming into the year. They lost Balaga. Everybody thought it was going to be worse. They weren't going to be able to run the ball at all. They never had run the ball anyway. People were like, they don't need it. They have Aaron Rodgers. Well, they've relied on it a lot this year. Cleveland doesn't stop the run very well. The game's in Green Bay. The defense played a lot better last week. I mean, they really they held the Ravens down. I really thought the Ravens would win that game last week, and they didn't. I'm going to take the Packers. It could be a close game. Whedon also could play very badly and really put them in a hole, and they could get run out of the building too. It could go either way, but I'm going to take Green Bay in the end.
Nice. Then we have one of the best rivalries in football. The defending Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens sitting at 3-3, heading out to Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a good game. Pittsburgh's actually a 1-point favorite. And you know what? I like Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's going to win the game at home. I know they beat the Jets. I'm not going to get crazy. They're still 1-4. I was at the game. I still see holes in Pittsburgh's team, offensively and defensively. But the Baltimore Raven offense is just not good right now. I mean, it is not good. No Clay Matthews. I mean, I thought Ray Rice was going to have a huge day yesterday. They just can't get him going. They cannot get him going. It just does not look good for the Baltimore Ravens offensively. Pittsburgh, I think it's going to be another grind-out game. I mean, typically the score's 13-10, and I think it's going to be the same deal. I think it's going to be about a 13-10 ball game, unless Flacco throws a pick, turns the ball over. But again, Pittsburgh just got their first 2 turnovers of their season yesterday. With those 2 interceptions off of Geno Smith. Those were their first 2 forced turnovers of the season.
Which is
game
amazing.
5, week
with
6.
With a LeBeau defense, it's amazing.
Unbelievable. So I like Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be one of those old school games. I mean, typical Raven Steeler games.
I agree with you with everything. I'm going to take Baltimore, though. I think it's going to be, like you said, I'll write it down now, 13-10. You can pick your team, but I'm going to take the Ravens. It's desperation again. I mean, they can't go to 3-4, even though that division's not good. I mean, Cincinnati's eventually going to get their legs together, and I think they're going to put distance on Baltimore if they don't get it in gear right now. I still have to see it one more week from Pittsburgh. It's just not going to be convinced by the win over the Jets alone. I love the way Roethlisberger played yesterday, though. Very efficient, and he struggles against Baltimore in the past. If he can, if he can find a game, this week, I mean, I think they'll definitely win, but he always seems to have an issue beating Baltimore, especially in Pittsburgh. For whatever reason, they play him better in Baltimore, I think, as far as wins and losses go over the past few seasons. So I'm going to take Baltimore in a tight one, but they're really, their backs are against the wall in Baltimore. They have to win this one.
Yeah, as does Pittsburgh.
As does Pittsburgh, too. I mean, we had kind of written off Pittsburgh, but if Pittsburgh wants to make a run, which they still can do, they have. You're right. They do need this one.
They win the game. They're 2-2.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're right back in it.
They're
and then we're talking about them differently.
They're right back in. And if Cincy loses in Detroit, they're one week
to
at
another
a time.
NFC East here.
Yeah, 1 week at a time. But I'm looking forward to that game. And then the big one. I mean, if you like theater, if you like soap operas, if you like Lifetime channel type shows and movies and The Notebook, whatever. If you're into that stuff,
you're listening to the wrong show.
Yeah, Peyton Manning makes his return to Indianapolis. That should be one hell of a moment. It should be pretty emotional for Peyton Manning. I don't think he'll be crying before the game, but I'm sure they're going to do something nice for him. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of video montages for him. I'm sure they're going to have, you name it. I'm sure you're going to have old coaches. They might even have some, something before the game. They're playing each other, so I don't know if they're going to have something for him at halftime, especially if the Broncos are up 35-14.
They'll want to get him out there, though, so he's not in the locker room with his coaches.
I'm sure they won't be honoring him if he's got 5 touchdown passes by halftime, which he may very well do. That's going to be. I'm looking forward to that. That's very nice because he never did get a proper send off. I mean, he had that press conference, which was really emotional. It was tough to see. Basically an organization tell their franchise, like, hey, man, we're going in a different direction. And it was tough on Peyton Manning. I don't think he wanted to go out that way. He didn't want to leave the Colts that way. But now he's going to go there and try to kill him. Yeah. I think there's no doubt about it. I think he's going to go there and try to say, you guys gave up on me. And he's going to try to prove something to him. I can still play.
Yep.
And I'm going to show you guys firsthand. We could have been a Super Bowl team if you had me. Yeah, you guys got a good team now, which they do. The Colts are a tremendous football team right now. And it looks like they're off and running. That division, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. I think it's over. I think it's pretty much over. That division is wrapped up. I think the Colts have that division well in hand. But he's going to be motivated. He's a competitor. He's going to go out there and he's going to try to show these guys they could have been a Super Bowl team with him if they had just held on to him. So I think it's going to be a great game. And I'm sure Luck is going to – let's see what Andrew Luck does. Let's see if he doesn't, crumble in this moment. He's going against Peyton Manning. I'm sure he's going to try to outshine Peyton. So I think it's going to be a great game. I can't pick against Denver. I just think Denver's going to win. It's just a matter of how much. I think the Colts are a tremendous team. They're very talented. I'm taking the Broncos by a touchdown. Yeah,
I mean, I would have been all set to take Luck and the Colts here at any other time, but Peyton Manning, the reason why, like you said, about his really wanting to stick it to the Colts in a way, he doesn't lose these kind of games when he plays his brother, when he plays an old team, when he plays an old coach, when he gets really pumped up for a game and he gets it in his mind, he takes the game personally, his record's almost perfect in those kind of games. I mean, he just doesn't lose these games. That he takes those things like more personally than I think a lot of other players do. A lot of other players take them as team wins and team losses, and he's a team player also, but he takes it really on his own shoulders, and he wants to win this game badly. I can't see him not getting it done there.
Well said. I mean, look at week 1 against the Ravens. I'm telling you right now, if he could have thrown 10 touchdowns, he would have.
Right,
Against the Ravens, he stuck it to the Ravens.
I mean,
see, that's a good point, Ruggs.
Always been a good avenger.
You're right. You're right about that.
He always seems to get the people the year after they do
They
him
beat
wrong.
him. Yeah,
and he never wants to lose to Eli, like I said before, and he's certainly not going to want to lose this game in Indy, with the crowd the way it'll be and as big of a theater, like you said, on a Sunday night with the spotlights on. Big signature game in the career of Andrew Luck, though. I mean, he's got a chance to really, really shine here. I think he's unflappable. I think he'll play well. Yeah. I don't think it'll be because of him that they lose.
Right.
I just think it'll be too much Peyton Manning and he'll outscore him.
He knows how to play in that building.
I mean, it's not a
that's almost
home
like
field advantage too much for the Colts, really.
Right. So I agree. So, yeah. I think Peyton's going to do very well over there. I'm sure it's going to be a very classy moment. I don't think you're going to see a Latrell Sprewell type.
No.
When Latrell went back to Madison Square Garden and was yelling at James Dolan, cursing him out in front in front of his family and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't think you'll see anything like that. You won't see a point up to the box. I'm sure he understands the business, and he's going to handle it. I'm sure it's going to be very classy. Everything's going to be done very well by Peyton Manning. I'm looking forward to it. I think the whole country's really looking forward to it.
It's a good job by the networks to get this one on for the whole country to watch. Well done by the schedule makers.
Oh, yeah. And the last game, Monday night, like we mentioned earlier, the Minnesota Vikings travel out to the Meadowlands to face the New York Football Giants, who are searching for their first win. I think they're going to get it because if they don't get this one, I don't know what they're going to win. We've been saying it for 5 weeks. It's a must win for the Giants. I think it's just a must win so you don't get humiliated.
Yeah.
In terms of just pride. Just like I said earlier, show up, play like champions. If there's one game the Giants play like champions, this should be the game. Just show up, play like champions, and just win a game. Give your home crowd something to cheer for on a Monday night. Let them walk out of that beautiful stadium. Well, it's not that beautiful, but it's a stadium nonetheless.
It's big.
Oh, it is. That it is. Let them walk out of there with their heads held high. Let them go out there finally being able to chant, "Let's go Giants." Give them something. All right? I mean, you're going against Matt Castle. Come on, win the game. So I'm going with the Giants. I think they finally will. I think they'll show up, and I think they will win this game.
Yeah, I think they'll win big too. I mean, there's part of me that's like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings won this game.
I would not be shocked.
I mean, because the Giants, if they just don't show up, I mean, Peterson could have a big game if they keep it close and it's just anybody's game at the end. It wouldn't shock me, but I kind of think the Giants they're just due to win big. Minnesota's really bad. At some point, that's got to count for something. They just really aren't good.
They're terrible.
The Giants certainly aren't good this year either, but I think there's so much more on the field talent outside of obviously the running game, which is a big advantage for Minnesota. Every other facet tends to go the Giants' way. I think ESPN, I feel they've got to feel a little snake bit, and they looking at their schedule Monday night coming into the year, they look like they had some real gems for matchups.
Yeah.
The games are getting bad. I mean, they were so excited last week of the year. They had Atlanta, San Francisco. That game's looking terrible now. They got this game. The two playoff teams are like, all right, we got the Vikings and the Giants. They've been taking heat over the years for having bad games. This is a terrible game. I mean, they just can't win with these the matchups that they're drawn. But, so it's a little bit of a snoozer here, but I think the Giants are going to get off the schneid and get their first win.
I expect a lot of salsa dancing from Victor Cruz. I think the Giants will win this game. Absolutely. All right. So
we'll go to break now here and come back for more sports action for you here on the Zuki and Ruggs Show on All Noise Radio. Do you have a friend or loved one who suffers from, verbal diarrhea?
Oh my God, did you see what
is
she
it
was
so
wearing?
bad that it is
Like
ruining
her
your
shoes?
family functions or intimate moments?
I mean,
I can't take it anymore. I just feel like poking my eyes out when they ramble on and on and on.
Hello, I'm Dr. Joel Horowitz, and fortunately for you, we at Know It All Labs have developed a treatment for this growing epidemic known as sedate phobia, or fear of silence.
Taken once daily, this oral remedy known as synthetic transparent ferric uranium, or commonly referred to as STFU, will begin the healing process.
STFU saved my marriage. Now I can get through an entire movie and actually hear the words. And I don't think about crashing the car every time we go for a family trip. Thank you, STFU.
For everyone who has had to endure a life without peace and quiet, STFU is for you. Results may vary. Side effects are not common but may include psychotic episodes, loss of testosterone, bleeding of the auditory canal, and pestilence. Use as directed. All Noise Radio, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
I cannot believe this. This is the best news I've had all week. And I know I can't live without my radio.
I'm sick to death of your mess and your noise.
The noise you can't ignore. Back on the Zuki and Ruggs Show here at the CSB Studios on All Noise Radio. We're going to switch gears a little bit here and go to playoff baseball. That's the other thing that comes around this fall time of the year. You get these great matchups, and now we're into the League Championship Series. And we had a big game last night at Fenway. Boston came from behind and won to tie that series up, and basically a must-win. They didn't want to go down 2-0. Zuki's going to break it down a little bit more and, why Boston was able to win that one and what to look for in the rest of that series before we touch on later the other league. We got the National League Championship Series also. We don't want to shortchange that one, but we're going to start with the American League. A little bit of local interest here with the Red Sox, and even in that series at 1. So, Zook, what happened last night at Fenway after I went to bed?
That was a wicked comeback by the Sox. That was a wicked comeback. They were drinking that dirty water out there. Hey, hats off to the Boston Red Sox. I mean, again, that's a testament of the kind of team they are. They never say die. The never say die attitude of the Boston Red Sox, and it's their leader, David Ortiz. He came through with the big grand slam to tie up the game. Coming into this series, the big question was the Detroit Tiger bullpen. And unfortunately, it showed its ugly face because that bullpen just imploded. And unfortunately for them, I think it cost them the series. The Boston Red Sox, that's a huge win. I mean, to say the very least, Detroit wins that game. They're up 2-0 to win 2 games on the road. And, of course, conversely, looking at it the other way, Boston losing 2 home games, that's a backbreaker. You don't recover from that. You don't lose 2 home games in a LCS series and go back on the road and
Very
win.
tough to do.
No, it never really happens. I can't remember it really happening. It's I don't want to use the word impossible when it comes to the Red Sox in baseball.
Yeah.
It pretty much is. But anyway, a great win, gritty win by the Boston Red Sox. Unfortunately, that game 1 was a disappointing loss for them. They just were dominated, 17 Ks by the Tiger pitching, and the Tiger bullpen actually held on the fort there in game 1. Wasn't able to do it for game 2. And you go to game 3 now in Detroit. They do have Justin Verlander, who can kind of, correct things for the Detroit Tigers, but that's a tough loss for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I think if they don't win that game, they're in big trouble, though. I think they have to get that third game with Verlander going, get up 2-1. I'll quote my grandfather here, who was a big Red Sox fan for a lot of years. God rest his soul. He said, "Chrissy, you're never out of a game at Fenway." And that's what happens. It's just that kind of ballpark. You can make big comebacks. Runs are, you can get big innings, crooked numbers on the board there. And, 5-1 is nothing. That's not a safe lead at all. I grew up hating the Red Sox. They did it so many times. I couldn't stand it. I was like, God, that bandbox. I hate Fenway Park. It's a little league field. I just grew up bashing it. It keeps hope alive. I mean, it makes for a lot of exciting baseball. But, yeah, I think, like you said, Verlander's going in game 3. Must win for the Tigers. I think it's much more important that they win the third game than Boston does. The way the series lines up with the pitching, the Tigers, they really, really are counting on winning the games that, the 2 games they're going to get out of Verlander. They're trying to make it 3 and probably have them come back in game 7 if it's necessary. And, they got it lined up the way they want it with the pitching staff. But if they lose and go down 2-1, and they've used their 3 top guys, then it gets real dicey. And Boston's shown they're a good road team. They could just run the table in Detroit. They could sweep them out.
I agree, and just a huge win for the Red Sox. Yeah, definitely the pressure's on Detroit.
Yeah,
like you said, they need Verlander to win that game. That's why he's there. That's why they gave him the money. That's why he's their ace. To win that game. Yeah, that's a must-win. In my opinion, I think it's definitely a bigger game for the Tigers than it is for the Red Sox. No doubt about it. Great win by the Red Sox. I mean, tremendous. We've seen this so much from them. Every time they're in the postseason, they seem to pull stuff out like this. 2004, being down 3-0 to the Yankees. Even 2007, people don't talk about it. We forget. They were down 3-1 to Cleveland in the LCS.
They looked out.
People forget about that. I mean, they were down 3-1. So in their 2 World Series runs, they have a 3-0 comeback in the LCS and a 3-1 comeback and now they come back from 5-0 down in Game 2.
They've always done it. I remember 86 against the Angels.
That's
they were
right.
3-1
Even
down,
86.
It's just like I thought they were done. I was like, I was loving it. They were done.
Dave Parker hit that big home run off of that. Who?
Dave Henderson.
Henderson
off of Donnie Moore.
Yes, Donnie Moore. Yes.
Sadly, isn't with us anymore.
That's right. That's right.
That series was as over could be.
Yeah.
Even in Game 6 and Game 7, both games, the Angels got early leads. I'm like, they're done. They're not going to win. And that's one time I did say thank God for the Mets, because I did enjoy the Mets being able to kind of turn the tables on them, because they kind of seemed to have it in the bag, and then it turned on them. So it was
that's
a little good. Turnaround is fair play.
And I got suckered into becoming a Met fan. I was 5 years old in that series. That was my first memory of baseball, the 86 Mets. Oh, boy.
I remember.
I wish that was my last memory of the Mets as well.
As hard as it was, I had my dad was working. I called him on the phone to congratulate him in the 9th inning. The game wasn't over yet. No, you didn't. I did. And, it took him a while to get on the phone, and by the time he got on the phone, it was already starting to turn the other way, and I was like, never mind, Dad. And I said, I hope you're having a good night at work, and I hung up and watched Buckner blow it through the legs.
That reminds me of the story where I think it's Dwight Evans. He turned around and they actually showed it. The board operator at Shea Stadium put up, congratulations, Boston Red Sox, 1986 World Series champions.
I still remember stories, people passing T-shirts out at Shea Stadium in the parking lot.
Well, did you ever see the documentary with, I think Costas is in the back, and they're building up. They're covering the lockers for the champagne, and they're doing the whole set for the Red Sox. And all of a sudden, as the Mets are getting these hits, they're like, wait a minute. They start taking it down.
It was unbelievable.
And they're like, we have to get this out of here before the Red Sox come in here, because they come in here, they're going to kill us. They're like, if they come in here to see this, they're going to kill us. They're like, so we got to get the hell out of here before they make it. That's a hell of a documentary. Yeah, I think that was the E60 on Bill Buckner.
Yeah, and I remember the them showing, even they had Clemens in the bullpen. He was hugging guys, and they really they went over the top to show, because it was ending this long drought, and they really made a big deal about it, and it just kind of came crashing down on them. But
unbelievable.
Just there's always interest and kind of intrigue when it comes to the Red Sox.
Always make
they
it
always
fun.
Make it interesting, whether they're blowing it big time or winning it, coming from nowhere to win it. They do make it interesting.
You dig the beards? You dig the beards, don't you, Ruggs?
Oh man, they look.
How about David Ross's beard?
If they were a hockey team, I'd get behind them. But I mean, they just look. I'm like, are you kidding me? Look at these guys, a motley crew of.
Apparently,
players.
Reddick thought he's still with the Red Sox over there in Oakland. He has that beard going like, "Hey, buddy, you're on Oakland. You're on the Red Sox. What are you doing there?" But hell of a win for the Red Sox. So we'll see where that series goes. I expect the Red Sox. That's a turning point. I expect the Red Sox to bring it home. I don't know if they're going to win in 5, but I think they'll win it. They'll bring it home eventually. And on to the NLCS. Just as quickly as the Dodgers, it's got to look like for everyone. Juan Uribe hit that home run.
And I picked LA in this series, and I'm not looking good.
A lot of people did. I did as well. I thought LA was going to win this game. Not looking good for the Dodgers at all. Now Hanley Ramirez is out tonight with Game 3 with a broken rib, and they got to go against Adam Wainwright.
And more
not
of
looking good.
And must win for Detroit in Game 3. It's nothing compares to how what a must win it is for the Dodgers in this Game 3. They have to have it.
It's their season. Obviously it's their season, and I just don't see how they're going to beat Wainwright. I hate to say. I mean, I could see them getting swept, and I can't believe I'm saying that. I could see them getting swept. Yeah, the Cardinals just always find a way. Outside of last year when they blew that 3-1 lead, which I'm still, which I was shocked about last year against San Francisco. It usually doesn't happen to the Cardinals. They just find ways to win. I mean, they're just a winning organization.
Playoff success is unbelievable.
It's unreal. I mean, you look at it the last decade, it's like, wow, really? It's like year in, year out, they're just in it.
Yeah.
They're just in it. They find ways to do it. Different guys every year. They lose Pujols, and it's like big deal.
Kind of like the Spurs, They're like
well, I will say this: the Spurs have always had Duncan. But you're right in the sense that
they're always relevant, but maybe never thought of as the best team in the league. But they're always like up there and relevant and have a chance.
Right. I mean, but you look at it, they let go of Albert Pujols, and it's just like the next year they're one win away from they win the World Series in 2011 with Pujols, and the next year they're one win away from going back without him.
Yeah,
it's unreal. These guys just have this. I don't know where they develop. I mean, their development. I gotta say, their development system, their minor league system is phenomenal. I study the minor leagues. I study the minor league system very well. I'm kind of a geek with that, and they've got a couple guys coming. We've seen Michael Waka, but they've got a couple guys coming. We've already seen Carlos Martinez as well, but they've got Oscar Tavares coming, and he's going to be a stud. And you've already seen a little bit, a small sample, but you're going to see Colton Wong, who's a second baseman for them. He's also going to be a stud. If those two guys, they straight goal with those two guys, you might have a dynasty on our hands here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. They just make these guys. They find these guys, they develop these guys, and year in, year out, they're just a championship contender. I mean,
maybe actually, now that you say the way they're built, maybe like Duke in college basketball, whereas they're always, they just kind of reload. Right. They don't have to have any one player. If you go and you want to go to the NBA, fine. We're going to get somebody, through our, recruiting. It's a little different system, but it's a recruiting system to get somebody to fill the gap. And we're always going to be relevant. We're going to be well coached and disciplined. Maybe we won't win the title every year, but we're going to be in charge in our division. And if you win your division, you're going to make the playoffs. You always have a chance. Mm-hmm. And this year, the way they've pitched, I don't know that anybody's necessarily just might be taking them too lightly. Yeah. I mean, I thought Pittsburgh had a shot. I figured, St. Louis would eke it out in 5, and that's kind of what happened. But
Pittsburgh needed to win that game 4.
Yeah, and
I think Pittsburgh needed to win that game 4. Once they got to game 5 in St. Louis, Adam Wainwright on the mound, that was too much.
Right, but then I was like, all right, well, Pittsburgh didn't get it done, but I think L.A. will beat them. And I'm going to say the same thing. If they get through L.A., I'm going to say I like the American League team because I do. I think either one of the teams in the American League should beat them, but they just prove everybody wrong constantly, so don't count them out.
I would agree with that, but two things. If Detroit does make it, the bullpen, obviously really suspect. Just Detroit, every time they make it to the World Series, just doesn't go well for them. Doesn't go well. The only thing that would help Detroit is I don't think this is going to be the two times in 2006 and last year that Detroit made it to the World Series. They had short LCSs, so they had a long layoff going into the World Series. Right. That, I mean, shouldn't happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. It shouldn't happen. I'll say that it shouldn't happen. So that may help them in going to the World Series if they make it. If they get by Boston,
right? If they win this series, they're gonna have to go back to Fenway and do it. They're not gonna run 3 games.
No,
here.
No way. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm with you on that. I kind of agree. I like the 2 American League teams. I think the Boston Red Sox are going to win it all.
Yeah, I do too.
I think they're going to. It's just been that kind of year for them. I like them going into the season. I picked them to win the division. I didn't pick them to go all the way, but hey, it looks like, in my opinion, they're going to do it. But we'll see. Still a lot of baseball left. Yeah. We'll see how it's looking by this weekend. But very exciting. In my opinion, these are the 4 best teams in baseball. Looking real good for the Major League Baseball here. Looking real good. Some good LCSs here. 2 good series.
Yeah, absolutely. Pitching's making a comeback in baseball too. Nice low-scoring games.
Yeah, it always does in October. Pitching always, for the most part, very rarely do you see the offenses take over. Right. For the most part, it's pitching based. Pitching usually wins in the playoffs. Yeah, you see that. In the regular season, numbers get skewed because you're throwing out those number 4, number 5 starters. So you have those number 4 or 5 guys. As you know, I mean, they don't take them out. Only in long relief for one batter. Like Rick Porcello for Detroit. He's not seeing he ain't starting no game against Boston.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And even for Boston, they're not going to throw out, what's his name? Dubron. You're not going to see Felix Dubron going out there against the Detroit Tigers. No way.
Only if you got a 17-inning game.
It's guys like that. Even though Dubron's injured,
there might be one of those in this series. I wouldn't be shocked if we get a 15 or a 16-inning game in this series. It's just kind of the way.
I especially with the Red Sox. Yeah, I could see with the Red Sox.
Yeah, there's always drama.
I can see with the Dodgers, Cardinals. They both got good starting pitching, and they both have pretty solid bullpens. That's a good call. I can see that happen.
Yeah, and like you said with the Dodgers, Cardinals, we could have a couple more 1-0 games in this.
Yeah,
series the way these guys.
Yeah, they both got great pitchers.
They really do have them. Well, that's going to bring our show for this evening to a close. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We had a great time bringing it to you as we always do, and we will be back with another show very shortly.
Go Sox.
Yeah, join our, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Zuki and Ruggs Show, and, like our Facebook page, the Zuki and Ruggs Show on Facebook. And we'll be back with you next time. See you, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
If you have just one little dog, all you need when you go for a walk is a plastic bag to clean up the well. You know what?
But what if you have a big dog who likes to have the run of your property? And what if there's lots of dogs? Then you know what, can really get out of hand.
Call Doggy Do Not, the professional pooper scooper service that finds, scoops, and hauls away poop so you don't have to.
Doggy Do Not. Perfect for kennels, parks, office grounds, apartment complexes, your yard, or any place that needs scooping.
Doggy Do Not can scoop as often as you need them. Daily, weekly, monthly, or even just once. Like before you host that big event.
Doggy Do Not. When just a little plastic bag is not enough. Look online at doggydonot.com and call for a free estimate at 203-323-2284.
Doggy Do Not in Stamford, serving Fairfield and Westchester counties 12 months a year. Call 203-323-2284.